famous painter too. So.
Is it what Dad did?
No, Dad didn't do it. It was, is it Pettigrew or something like that? He was a famous painter. In fact, Dad had painted with him.
Huh?
You know, they'd go on these trips and do paintings.
Yeah.
And so, Dad, I
You want
think
me to
Dad
ask her
bought
that?
that from him. And it really is neat.
Why?
Graham, tell Bobby. Don't touch his hot. Tell Bobby about your first engagement.
My first what?
The first time you were engaged.
Oh,
Little Ruthie has that ring, right?
yeah, I was engaged to one guy,
What was his name?
Patty Donnelly. And then I was going with another guy, and it's funny, his sister called me up on the phone, and I told her that I was engaged. She started crying over the phone. She says, "Oh, I thought you were going to be my sister-in-law." And she was so unhappy. And I said, "Well, I'm sorry, I'm engaged to
Hey,
someone
Graham.
else." So I had 3.
Wait, you were engaged twice? I thought you were just engaged once.
Well, this other guy thought I was going to marry him. In fact, his mother, the reason why, he was a really nice guy, Patty.
Yeah, why'd you
But-
break up with him?
Well, he drank too much.
But you
How much is too much?
I mean, in fact, I went to his house, and his mother said, "You know, you're the only one that can do anything with Patrick."
So Patrick drank too much?
Yeah,
Was he Irish?
Irish is a Patty's
That a girl.
So you broke up with, you left Patrick, and then another guy asked you to marry him?
That was Dario. That's the one whose sister thought I was going to marry him.
That was the first one or the second one?
Find out how many
Second.
rings.
That was the second.
How many
And
rings,
did you
Graham?
get
And the third was
Did you get
Grandpa.
a ring from Dario? Did you get a ring from Dario?
No.
No, but he asked you.
In fact, Aunt Ruth, I think, has the one that I got from,
Dario?
no, Patrick.
Oh, I thought little Ruthie did.
No.
So why did you break up with Dario?
Because I met Grandpa.
Then you met Grandpa.
And you know what? Believe it or not,
What?
I couldn't stand your grandpa. When we worked at
Because
the
he was still,
bank.
he was stubborn back then.
No. We both worked at the same bank.
I know.
And
I remember
he
exactly
was
where that bank
he
is.
was what the heck was it? He worked on a keyboard downstairs doing
Programming or something?
something like that. And I was what did I do? I was a telephone operator
You're the operator.
and
A teller?
file clerk.
No.
Oh, file clerk.
And I couldn't stand your grandpa. I went home and I told my mother, I said, "He's a pain in the neck."
He always teased you all the time.
So after a while, we started going together. And
He told a story once. I'm trying to
he
remember.
Very good.
called my mother and
That's the only reason I
said, "Is Ruthie there?" And said, "No, she's down at the ice cream parlor with her friends," which every Saturday after work, there were
How
4
old were
of
you?
us that would go. How old?
About, yeah.
I was about 21.
Wait, ice cream parlor? Is that code for the bar?
No, it's an ice cream parlor, believe me. So he called my mother and said Mr. Blasi wanted me. And so I said, "What is it?" "Well, Mr. Blasi," he said that Mr. Blasi said you didn't finish your work. I said, "Mom, I finished it all." She said, "Well, you better get up and see what Mr. Blasi has to say." So I go in the back door and I start towards the steps to go up to the main floor. And all of a sudden he says, "Where are you going?" I says, "Mr. Blasi wanted to see me." He says, "Haha, it was me." I went home, I said to my mother, I said, "That guy, I'm telling you, I can't stand him."
So how did he first ask you out?
How did I get it?
That was his way of flirting with you. Yeah.
There was a party that the bank was having, and so he asked me if I wanted to go with him. Well, there was no other way to go, so I figured, yeah, I'll go with you. And you know what? He had his father's car, and he ran over a rock, a boulder like. I said, what are you trying to do? Ruin your father's car?
Oh no.
So, yeah, that was more or less the first date I had.
So how did Grandpa ask you to marry him?
Pardon me?
How did Grandpa ask you to marry him?
He never asked him.
What do you mean he never asked you?
He asked me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Grandpa Boo. Like Grandpa
Let me see.
Andy.
I think we were sitting on the couch in the living room
At your house?
on Caldenberg Place, and that was it. And then he came home.
Well, how long after you guys started dating was that?
Let me see. You know what? We started dating in June.
It's a good month.
At July 1st, we got married because he was going over where the hell
overseas.
He was going
sailing.
overseas,
Yeah.
but he never did get overseas. He was
On a boat.
overseas at
Yeah.
first, but then he was transferred to a school in Dearborn, Michigan, and he says, "Let's get married now." So we got married July 1st.
And you started dating in June?
No, I
Yeah,
guess
but that was very common, especially Grandpa was going off to war.
1 month engagement?
Pardon me?
1 month engaged?
Yeah, that's about it. 1 month of engagement.
Did you have a big wedding with a white
Yeah.
dress and everything?
So-
You're going to be
So-
tell Graham you're going to be.
That's
So Graham, at what point,
Wait.
because you didn't like him,
Tell
he
Graham.
bugged you. At one point, how did that start to change?
I don't know.
She's going to be in
It
the
just
wedding.
changed.
He's charming. Grandpa was very charming.
What was that?
I asked Graham at one point because he bugged her.
But you know what?
But when did
He
that
was not
change?
funny when he was younger.
Really?
No. You know when he really snapped out of being...
Yeah, but he played jokes on you and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty funny.
I don't think it was. No, he was very somber while he was working.
Sure,
And you
yeah.
know, when he got
don't
up
know.
in the bank...
Right.
Let me stir this
So,
sauce.
but there was one thing that after he retired from County Trust, or the Bank of New York, which it went into, he was asked to become president of the North Tarrytown Bank, and he turned it down.
Why?
He retired.
Oh,
So, and then, of course, we had 20 good years down Hilton Head.
yeah. That's a long retirement.
No, we lived 25 years in Yorktown Heights, and then 20 down in Hilton Head, and
Yeah, but after he retired, that's when you guys moved to Hilton Head,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Tryon Estates. And he had, let me see, it would be going 2 years? Yeah. Oh, he had a good 9 years there at least. 9 and a half.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, everybody loved him.
I'm telling you.
Everybody loved him.
You know what? At his ceremony at Tryon
Yeah.
Estates, he had 160 people there. They were, the auditorium was completely filled
Yep.
all the way, and people were also sitting up on the stage.
And think about all the people that would have been there, but they had passed already.
Well,
all the people that-
they wouldn't have been able to put any more in. In fact, Ralph said that if the inspector had come in at that time,
Fire hazard.
yeah,
Yeah.
so because I think that only supposed to hold 140. And I think he had about 160. So, but he was really, and the cleaning gals, what is it they called him? The joke man. So, because they'd always say, how's the joke man doing? This is when he was in the medical.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it.
I'm sure he's still joking.
Oh yeah, you know who's joking with? Oh golly, Bill Guilfoyle.
Who's that?
That's friends of ours.
Mm.
Because Bill's up there, so is he, and they're probably, in fact, Wilma and I, Andy and Bill, every time they'd say goodnight at the elevator, it would be, peace be with you, also with you.
Right.
And so that's what Wilma and I say now.
Yeah.
Peace be with you, and I'll say also with you, or vice versa. So, but, and to tell you the truth, they're buried close to each other too,
Oh, really?
down by the Presbyterian Church in Hilton Head. Bill, there's like a little sidewalk coming in, and Bill is over here, and he's in the first row
Wait, is that where you guys met?
in Hilton Head.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Bill is over here. He's,
Right here.
I think he's in the first row, second one in. Grandpop's over on this side of the walkway, and he's in the second row, third in. So I said to Wilma, I says, well, they must be talking back and forth to each other.
Yeah.
So, that's it.
The baby.
I blessed the baby lady. Tell your story
Oh,
about that. Remind Bobby the story. He asked me the other
You
day.
guys laugh.
We lived in an apartment building on Wilty Street. And it was 3 apartments here and 3 apartments here. And above us, there was an Italian lady. And her husband used to make wine in the cellar. And when he was making it, you'd smell the wine coming up.
What were they making?
Anyhow, she knocked on my door one day, and she said, I come to bless your house. So she went to the living room. I blessed the living room, the dining area.
With this authentic Italian
With
accent?
Yeah. What do you call it?
Holy water?
Yeah. And then she went in the kitchen, blessed the kitchen. Then she went in the bedroom and blessed the bedroom. And she says, I bless the baby too? I says, yeah. So she goes like this and goes like that. And Billy's eyes are going like this. Oh, man. So he's been blessed.
How did she say it? I blessed the baby.
I blessed the baby. And she blessed the baby. But the worst part was when they used to make the wine and the smell would come up into the apartment.
Really?
Yeah.
Like the fermentation or something?
Yeah. Yeah, and they made it all the time.
It's not a bad idea.
The bread?
Yeah, why not? So,
Did you bring bread?
No.
Okay, I've got bread.
but I don't know if I know my brother was born because my father passed out. That I know, because that's a story that my mom said. She said, well, when your brother was born, your father passed out alongside the bed. So I guess she had one of those, what do they call them?
And the bread knife is,
Or did she have a doctor? I don't know. So I
Like
don't
a
know if I
housewife?
was born in the hospital or if I was born home. And I'm sorry, I can't ask her.
I bet you it says on your birth certificate, though.
You know, when I go home, I'll look
Yeah.
and see exactly.
That'd be interesting.
Well, it was a small hospital. It's now a nursing home.
You need me? Yeah, baby. I can
Go ahead and go. In fact, you know, I used to go into the city, and if I got home around 12 o'clock, my father would be sitting in his chair.
Midnight?
Yeah,
How'd you get into the city?
train.
That
And
makes sense.
Papa would be sitting there, and I'd walk in, and he says, "Well, did you have a good time?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, just as long as you know what's right and what's wrong," he says, "have a good time." And so I used to sit there and used to tell him exactly what we did.
Like, what were you, 18, 19, 20? But your mom,
But my mother, no, she never sat up and listened to anything that I did. But my father always would just sit there and listen to what I said. And if I went to the movies, which was around the corner from where we lived, Music Hall Theater it's called. I'd come home from the movies and my father would say, "How about some ice cream?" I said, "Sounds like a good thing, Dad." So he'd say, "Okay, here's the money. Go down to Pincus's, get me, I think he always had me get him a soda." He says, "And get whatever you want." So I'd pick it up, bring it back, and we'd sit there. He'd have his soda. My mother would be in bed,
and you'd have your ice cream
and we would have our ice cream.
at midnight.
But my mother was I'm not saying she wasn't a good mother. She really and truly was. She's a wonderful woman. But she had, I guess, a different bringing up than my father.
Sure. So she just did things a little bit differently.
Well, I guess her father and mother were strict or something. And my father was
Do you
not
remember them
strict.
at all?
Who?
Your grandparents on your mom's side?
No, because her mother died. I guess it was a month before I died. I
Were
was
you born? Oh.
And I never saw my grandfather. Well, I never saw either grandfather, to tell you the truth, but I did see my father's. And she spoke broken English. And one time my brother, and Graham says, "Sit there, I'll take care of you." She goes into the woods.
Into the woods?
Comes back and she has some kind of leaves, wraps it around.
Like aloe or something like that?
I have
You don't
no
know?
idea, but it was something from the woods. And wrapped it around my brother's foot. He never even had a scar.
That's old school.
Yeah. Well, she knew what was there and everything.
Yeah.
Too.
Use the nature around you.
Well, at least I did know her as a grandparent, but my mother's no. As I said, my mother's mother died 1 month before I was born. So anyhow, that's my life.
So you used to take the train into the city?
Yeah, and you know what? It was during the war. And
What was that like?
we used to, the non-com fellas,
The what?
non-com, not like a lieutenant or something like that.
Yeah.
They were the nicest guys.
Right.
I mean, there was, I can't remember the name of the place. There were 4 of us gals that used to go down to the city. To a
That you guys were all from
we'd
Yorktown?
go to the movies, and then we'd go to this, well, it was a bar. And there was these non-com fellas. and we got to know them pretty well. And they'd walk us to the train and say goodnight. Well, this one time, the four of us, four gals, were down in the city, and we were in this little, like, bar room. We had gone to the movies, went to this little bar.
Do you remember like where in the city? Uptown, midtown,
I
downtown?
have no idea. But these lieutenants came by. One of the gals was up on the dance floor, and Helen and I were sitting there. And along comes these lieutenants. And, you know, hi, how are you? And we said, fine, thank you, how are you? And they said, we have some liquor upstairs in our room. How about joining us? Helen looks at me, I look at Helen, and we say, no, thank you, you're going to have to find somebody else. That's exactly what we said to her. So when I think it was Madeline came back to the table, I said, oh, you missed it all. But,
She was out dancing, the one that was out dancing?
yeah, she was out there on the dance floor.
What year is this, like 43, 44?
No, 41,
41.
42.
Was it,
Because I was married at, what, 45?
did you guys you got married after the war ended?
Let me see. Well, as I said,
There were,
Grandpop was going to, I think it was Detroit or someplace, and married, and we were married in 45, so it was before that. But I had fun.
was it, because I've never, I mean, our wars now are overseas,
Yeah, no,
and
this was
and there's only
World War II.
right, but it's like we're kind of, it's almost disinfected for us.
Well, the
How was it,
Grandpa,
what was it like in a major war like that?
really and truly,
Was it just like, or was
yeah,
it
right,
pretty
right.
intense every day?
And as I said, Grandpop was on a, what the heck do they call them? Where the planes came in.
Aircraft carrier?
Aircraft carrier. And he was a radio. The Bogue, that's right.
What's it called? The Bogue?
Bogue.
Bogue.
B-O-G-U-E.
B-O-G-U-E.
And so he was the radio man there. And he said, he told me, he said, the first time he tried to send the message, he said, I tried to get through and give a message, and he says, I couldn't do it. He says, so finally this one guy comes in who was listening to him, and he says, I'll make sure that it gets through.
Dad?
So after, yeah, so after that, he was fine and dandy. I mean, he knew, he did that, what do you call it,
Morse code.
Morse code.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But he was a good guy.
That's just,
And you know, everybody at Tryon Estates, even nowadays, if you mention his name, he said, oh, he was such a good guy. And when the gals, when his ashes were in the house, did I tell you this before? I had them on that, when you come in the house, there's like a desk, and it has shelves.
yeah, to the left.
Yeah, no, to the right, as you come in the door.
In the room?
As you come in the front door.
Oh, yeah,
it
you're
was
right to the right of the door.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, little one, yeah.
And no, it wasn't that little. It was tall.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it had the desk, it had drawers and it has drawers and underneath, and then it has 2 shelves on the top. And what was I saying? Oh, I had his ashes there. And when the cleaning gals would come, they'd say, "Hi, Andy, how you doing?" And I said, "Are you talking to my husband's ashes?" And then after I had them taken down, we took them down to Hilton Head.
Yeah. You and her.
Yeah. Well, they said, "Hey, we miss Andy." I said, "Well, you're going to have to go to Hilton Head."
Yeah.
So, and as I said before, he's with Bill Guilfoyle.
Yeah. So he's on one side and Bill's on the other.
Yeah.
Hey, dinner, guys.
And Wilma and I are still good friends. So I said to your father, I said, "You were supposed to put the Christmas tree up." And I said, "Where the heck were the 2 of you?" I used to talk to John Cly, you know, and he was a big
Dad's
boss. So he says, "Oh, we'll put it up." I said, "Well, it's about time."
She wore the pants, the family.
The
That a
Christmas
girl?
tree was at an angle all during Christmas. And I said to John one day when I saw him, I said, "Boy, you should see our Christmas tree. It's leaning." I said, "Next time, leave it alone."
We had the biggest, most beautiful Christmas trees anyone could.